your net worth, your valuation is 300 million, right? Again, I was listening to something you said the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was that your time, you did the math, is worth $50 a second.
Yep.
And if we do a 30-minute podcast today, that's 90 grand.
Yep.
How do you justify that amount of time with like me right now, or with anyone else?
I love it. First of all, non-refundable minutes, that's another thing I have trademarked because it was a game changer and it continues to be a game changer. Because if you pay attention to your non-refundable minutes, you will pay attention to making sure you put yourself in value add propositions that you're getting something from it.
So hey guys, welcome to the episode. Today I'm here with Bobby Castro. We're in Fort Lauderdale. Dude, this is like an amazing place, honestly.
Thank
like
you, man.
the air when I was driving yesterday is so
it's incredible, right?
Clean, and it doesn't even smell like the beach, but it smells like a clean beach.
Totally different, especially from Arizona, yeah.
It's amazing. So Bobby, you have a net worth of 300 million.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to come back to that because there's a very important question I want to ask you regarding this. But you exited Bankers Healthcare Group.
Yep.
At a $1 billion
valuation.
Valuation, yes. And just recently, you kind of took this trip around the world, right? How many countries and places?
9 countries and plenty of cities. 9 countries.
Okay. And how long was that trip?
Nearly 2 months.
Yeah. What did you get from that trip as far as like terms of gratitude, terms of it like expanding your mind and who you are?
You know, it's incredible. I know I talk about it so much, and I think I'm not being told this, but I think that maybe people think that it sounds corny or it's a bunch of nonsense, BS. It has to be something more than that, Bobby. But I do believe, Ruben, man, value add in life, you can never, ever hit the ceiling if you're tuned into that type of mindset. And I always wanted to take a big, big trip. And I am that extreme personality. There's never nothing in the middle. I'm either all the way in or just simply not in. And I've always traveled with my family and all that, but I always wanted to take a big, epic, long trip of multiple countries, but more so to be in these villages and these areas that have very limited, if not no resources, like we do here in the States. So that was my whole mission. I wanted to really get tuned in to be. I always see. You're always going to hear the word most recently grateful, thank you, bless you, all these stuff. And I'm not religious. I don't know what I believe in. You know, my family was Catholic and then they went to Christian. So I don't know what I am, but I do know I am as a kind person. And I wanted to really witness and be involved in other environments that really didn't have the resources like I did. And I grew up very poor. My mom was just a hardworking waitress, amazing. My dad was an amazing individual. He passed away at 94 years old. He was pretty much a 9 to 5. My mom was the one that pushed me. And I used to complain on how broke we were, this and that. And as I continued migrating in life and getting older and, you know, understanding the value add to life, the more you fuel it, the more you give value to everything you do, man. You start appreciating things around you, start appreciating. So I wanted to just be around others that didn't have the resources that I do, you know, and I did. And that was that whole mission. And me and my wife went on that journey. We brought my son, his girlfriend, for the first 1 month because I wanted my son to actually witness these beautiful individuals. You know, I've been to communities that 90% have HIV and AIDS. You know, my granddaughter's age 3.5. My grandson's age 1.5 years old. Imagine that, and their family not around. It just, so anyways, I came back, Ruben. So much of a better person because of it. And I'm going to continue living there in my mindset to make sure I don't take anything for granted. I always remain hungry. I always remain positive. That PMA comes a positive mental attitude. I have a trademark. I have a serial number on it. And the reason I have that, it means so much to me. It was a game changer in my life because I was so exposed to drama in my family. My dad, he had 14 children.
Yeah.
and with a lot of different ladies. Everyone beautiful and all that, but as you know, like everyone has some chaos in their family member personalities, this and that. But there was a lot of personalities in my family, all good stuff. It made me tough and rough, but I just chose to look at life as I slowly was exposing more and more myself to this drama. Mm-hmm. Every time I got away from it, it was almost, I hate to say it, man, awesome and bright. But then when I went back to it, it's nothing but chaos.
Yeah.
So how do I continue keeping my positive mental attitude when I go back to that chaos? And that's how that started.
See, one of the things that you kind of brushed up on, but when I remember you saying it, it really stuck with me, is that there's no cap on life.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's because I've been in business for like 7 or 8 years, you know, and I just keep hearing all these business terms. But when you put a business term on life, right? I mean, there's a cap to every single thing. But when you go like life, I mean, you visited all these places. There's still places you can visit. And if you were to even visit them twice, there's still other things that you can explore that you still don't know. So that's such a crazy way to look at it, because most people think like, oh, you know, at what point does Bobby stop?
Yeah.
Right? At what point does anyone stop?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't need to, because
you never stop growing. And if you don't buy into that, you're just going to be stuck without knowing you're stuck. I've been there, man. And there's totally two different type of outcomes, and more so how you feel inside. You start becoming who you are, and you don't pretend to be somebody that you're really not.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue going on with a lot of millennials. They're a little lost, because they're like, okay, I know who I am. I do have my core values. I know the character I have within me, but I'm not acting like that. I'm breaking my core, meaning I'm breaking my principles of who I am. So success started hitting me massively, man, when I didn't care about what other people thought, and I just paid attention to who I was and how I was going to leverage relationships with no money. Yeah,
that's one of the things that I kind of want to brush up. Like I said, the fact that you have, your net worth, your valuation is 300 million, right? Again, I was listening to something you said the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was that your time, you did the math, is worth $50 a second.
Yep.
And if we do a 30-minute podcast today, that's 90 grand.
Yep.
How do you justify that amount of time with like me right now, or with anyone else?
I love it. First of all, non-refundable minutes, that's another thing I have trademarked, because it was a game changer, and it continues to be a game changer. Because if you pay attention to your non-refundable minutes, you will pay attention to making sure you put yourself in value add propositions, that you're getting something from it.
Yeah.
So 3 months ago, my son Brandon, it was really his idea when I exited my business. He says, "Dad, man, you're such a giver. You like helping these other countries. You're always, all my friends are digging for information when we're at the sandbar in the Keys, and they're asking, you're such a loving person that you're giving them true transparency. And I think it'll be a great idea if you get on social media and really give out your heart for all this remaining of the year, because it's the same thing if you're helping financially to other these charities, like I have with one recently in in Africa. He says it's the same thing. Dad, your information is very valuable. I'm telling you as your son. And it woke me up. I wasn't familiar with social media. I'd never been on social media. So I said, let's go ahead and fly with it.
Yeah.
And all this remaining of this year, I'm going to give some basic fundamentals, and whoever wants to take some of it in and run with it and do something with it. So that's how that all dropped, as to these non-refundable minutes I'm giving today. So when I'm saying yes to podcasts like yourself, and I'm vetting them out as much as I can to make sure I say yes to podcasts that I know and I feel that you have good intentions. Mm-hmm. You're looking for bona fide information to have your viewers listen to it and do something with it. And I said no to a lot of podcasts, and doing the basic research, not a lot of research, basic research on you, Ruben. You have a beautiful heart. You really, you're practicing yourself, you and your wife. Awesome stories we just shared before the podcast got started. And my non-refundable minutes to you is well worth the return on the investment, how I feel inside, because I know you're going to get this information, whatever we talk about here, and you're going to do your best to cascade it to another Ruben and Bobby with good intentions.
Yeah.
And that's where I choose to invest my minutes at.
Got it. And see, that's kind of what I noticed. And it's so transparent when I see you on social media, even on the trip. The whole trip, you were just like, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. And it's because of other people that I'm here, and all these other things, right? And so my question to you is, why do you love people so much? Like, where does the love for humanity stem from?
My mother. My mom, today it's called Denny's, but before Denny's, it used to be called Sambo's. So just imagine for a moment, and you're young, you go to a club, you and your wife, or you go to a late holiday party, and you get back, or you wind up going to Denny's 5 a.m. You're a little tipsy, you're a little tired, and that beautiful waitress comes walking your way to wait on you 5 a.m. It's called the graveyard shift. That was my mom. And after that, she got off, she went home, walked home, took a shower, got dressed in another uniform, went to another restaurant to do the same dog and pony. Finished that shift, walked home, took a shower. At that time, we got home from school. We will iron her apron and all that. She would shower, get something to eat real quick, off to the next gig at the Roni Pub Steakhouse in Miami Beach for another waitress job. My mother had no choice but to always smile, always work that relationship, her customers at that table, because she knew the value proposition. If she gave value and a great experience to these people, she will be rewarded with the gratuity, the tip. And why that was so important to my mom, she had 3 boys, hungry boys at home. Electricity was always cut maybe 50% of the time. Water. I know it breaks my mom's heart lately. She's been seeing these podcasts and these videos, but I said, Mom, I'm being just transparent, man. I just want to give transparency out there. I don't mean to do any harm to our family or make them look bad. And she loved it, man. She gave me the biggest hug. We used to have furniture like what we're sitting on and where we're talking. All this furniture used to be rented. So every time it's weekly payments. So when you don't have your $25, they come and pick up the furniture. It was a constant battle. Landlords knocking, where's the rent? One day you're almost out, one day you're not. So, my mom worked all these relationships, including the landlord. When they wanted us out, she had to actually put some good people skills on to get by that situation. So I subconsciously, without knowing, Ruben, I was witnessing a beautiful person that was really beautiful to others. And because of that value exchange, and they seen her heart, they allowed her to, okay, Casey, next week I'll come by. I understand. Or Casey, great job. Here's a $50 tip. So I seen that growing up, and then I became into hospitality. My first job was at 14 years old. I went to my mom after the 9th grade. I said, Mom, school's not for me, man. I want to leave. Now, just imagine that for a second. I know 9th grade today is high school. Back then, in my time, it was junior high. My mom did not push back one bit, Ruben. That's probably hard to believe. I think she's seen something that I didn't see, or she's seen something that I was struggled in school. And when I say struggle in school, I wasn't good at it. I was not a complicated student.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I heard another podcast just recently that you were on, and you skipped over this part, and I think it's such an important part. What did your mom see? Because it wasn't just in that moment. Like, she also trusted you with the $25,000 loan. She also didn't give up on you before you learned how to talk, right? Like, what was it that she saw in you that she's like, this guy is not just stopping here?
I think, because going back, being an introvert, I was extremely shy. I was just with my mom having dinner, I think it was 2 nights ago. And I didn't speak until I was 7 or nearly 7 years old. I actually didn't speak. I was just really very, very shy. And somehow, some way, my mom was able to get me out of this shell. So she must have seen, and I don't know what exactly she told me at the 9th grade, but the vibe was, I'm with you, Bobby. I don't know exactly what she said when I said I wanted to leave school. She more or less, rock and roll, Bobby. You can do more. You can be anything you want. She always used to tell me that. And I think she saw me break out of this shell, being an introvert, being so shy, to now being really vocal. And she says, you know what? She must have just said, run free. And she saw I failed at the 3rd grade. Because when teachers used to ask me, explain things, I would always be the pain in the butt, in a good way, not in a bad way. Raise my hand. I don't understand. And then they would explain it again. I don't understand. They would explain it in a different way. And then finally they got frustrated with me. They thought maybe I was like, okay, this kid is just nothing but a troublemaker. I really didn't understand. And that's the same way today. I speak at conferences, and I believe in Q's and A's. Questions and answers is the best value. So if you go to a conference, make sure you dive into Q's and A's. That's where the value you want, because chances are you already know the speaker's story. And, when I get into Q's and A's and they're asking me a question, hey, Bobby, I'm in this business, what do you think? I'm trying to register it, and 50% of the time I'll ask that person a question. Hey, Matt, do you mean you're asking me this just to make sure I understand it? And what I'm really doing is because I'm not registering it. So I'm handicapped when it comes to that. And even being handicapped in life, man, I was able to get some sort of wealth in my life.
Yeah.
So if I did it, anybody can freaking do it. And so my mother just let me free. My first job was at 14 years old. She got it for me at Pasquale's on 57th Avenue on Red Road in Hialeah. I was a busboy takeout, and that's where the people still started saying, how are you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Great service. They rewarded you with a tip. It's almost like training a dog. Rewarded me with a tip because I did a good job.
Yeah.
The fatter the tip was, I did a real good job. So I started registering this type of behavior and just got rewarded for it. And then, slowly start putting it together as you grow older.
Yeah, absolutely. See, that's it. For me, it's really strange to hear, somebody trusting a 17-year-old with a $25,000 loan. I literally just read the other day that you can get trusted with the $200,000 school loan, but they won't trust you with the $25,000 business loan, which makes no sense. But see, the thing that you said earlier too about your mom and her feeling kind of a certain way with you sharing all this stuff, I don't know if there's any comfort in this, but I have a very similar story with a single mom growing up and her really busting her butt to get where I'm at. So just knowing that there's people that have that same story, I'm sure you resonate. And it's not that people are thinking oh my God, Bobby didn't have anything and the mom and all this stuff. They're more saying wow, Bobby
sounds like me.
Yeah, it's exactly.
That's how I grew up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, really commendable. I have this tremendous respect for single moms because
me too, dude.
I've never really met one that hasn't put everything at some point on the line for their kids.
Yeah.
So there's something really to be said about single moms, and we can probably just take a moment.
And Ruben, I love what you just said. There's so many people that can relate to how I grew up in a beautiful family because 90% of them grew up in the same situation. Well, Bobby, how were you able to do it with the same situation I had? And I'm saying this with full transparency, man. I know it sounds like, is that all, Bobby? And I'm telling you, this was the holy grail for me. I limited all the distractions, including family members. It's such a sensitive topic in family.
Oh, of course.
I have family members that have been watching this on social media, but they know how I feel. I'm very transparent. If you're complicated with me and you have that, I will not spend my non-refundable minutes giving you value because I'm not receiving any value. It's very important. And I started getting accustomed going back to being a waiter and busboy. Do a good job, you get rewarded. I was not getting rewarded for this wasted value proposition relationship. So I limited my distractions. I actually started just limiting everyone, good people, because I wasn't distracted with you can never do it. You don't do it. You have no money. Your parents have no money. How do you do it? You got to get so freaking focused, because if you don't get focused and wipe out the distractions, you're never going to figure it out.
Yeah. And that is a really, really sensitive topic to really eliminate anyone, including family, right? And that goes to you being and having a specific mindset that you have to follow and be very strict with. You said you treat every day as if it were month's end.
Yep.
Right? Which means that you're thinking about today, right? You're thinking about today. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. So when you were in Bankers Healthcare Group, right? In order for you to grow, I'm thinking you left at a $1 billion valuation. In order for you to grow it to that, you had to have people, they all had to be on the same page as you. They had to have the same mentality as you. You're talking about non-refundable minutes, not wasting time, don't spend it with people who don't add value. That's difficult to instill a culture of, I don't know how many people were there, but I can assume it was a massive amount of people for it to be that, right? When talking about leadership and leading, what do you have to do in order for people to get those values that you have and adopt them as their own, if it were their own value?
If you're a business owner, or one day you're going to be a business owner, and that's why you're watching this podcast, you want to be successful. What worked for me with a very large population that started this small, no investors, man. This is the hard work. There was no raising money, including all the real estate assets I own. There was no investors. You're going to have to spend your complete overwhelming time with your population, meaning your employees, the people that are going to help you scale, because those employees are talking to your customers. Don't value your time by focusing on your customers. Focus on your population, because they're direct reflection to your customer. I was so obsessed that every day we had a half-hour meeting, every day, over and over. It was what you're seeing me now on social media. Imagine all this energy. A lot of people probably think I'm on drugs. I have some people that said, "Oh, you take uppers," and they don't just know me, but it's all good, man. I know they mean well, but they're just a little lost in life. I don't take no narcotics, man. I don't take no uppers. I don't take no cocaine. I don't take no Adderall, heroin, whatever the hell the narcotic is to get you up. Imagine me with this intensity, just 100% with my company.
Yeah.
With 550 employees. That's what it takes, is to pay full attention to your population. Make sure you're creating this unbreakable culture, and start peeling away leadership. Start upgrading to better people that have better skill set, and maybe at times have to say bye to people that help you get there to that stage. That is the toughest, because us people are very loyal to others. And man, Ruben, you got me here, man. We're doing $50 million a year, but your skill set might have hit. Yeah. You have to be willing to say, Ruben, man, high five, thank you, but we're going to have to look for someone else to replace you. That is so hard for most entrepreneurs. It was hard for me. Yeah. It was a constant struggle for me, because obviously, as you can see, I am a people's lover. I love people. I just love it, because that's how you scale. And without people, you can't scale.
Of course.
So remember, don't ignore that.
How do you know when it's time to let someone go? Like, did you do it based on the person and who they were, or did you do it based on, like, you know what, like, you just don't fit the culture. I'm sorry, goodbye.
Yeah. So I have two themes. It's called blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Second theme, walk the walk. You will know within 3 to 4 weeks when you bring on a new hire. I don't care what caliber they're in. I'm involved as an investor in some very high companies, small, medium. I don't care what position, what level of a company you're at. You will see within a few weeks if you got your person or not. And if you're saying, I don't know if they're going to work out, you better make those hard decisions now versus constantly investing with it's going to be a negative return and preventing you to scale. You've got to be willing to make those hard decisions. More so, guys, be very careful hiring family members. It got me really jammed up. I keep going back to family, because we're all connected to. We all have that tribe, man. It's who we are, and I love them. I can't wait to see them all on Thanksgiving. Got to be very careful. These are sensitive topics that no one wants to confront this elephant in the room. Yeah.
See, I told because my wife was like, the next person that we're going to be working with is her cousin, and he's great. He's phenomenal. He's young. He understands it. He picked up the same attitude that we have and just adopted it, right? But when I did that, people were like, "Oh man, now you're working with your wife and the cousin, right? Like, aren't you afraid that?" And I'm like, I think I get it now. When they talk about hiring family, it's like, you don't hire the ones that are in need. You hire the ones that actually, are gonna, because he was in need, but like he was already doing what we needed him to do prior to that. He was just in the wrong place. But I'm like, if somebody comes in, they're like, "Oh, Uncle this just got released out of jail. He really needs money." Oh, well, he should go work at Denny's, or I'll give him $1,000, but that's it, or I'll help him and I'll fund him, but he's not going to actually, because they don't have the same interests,
it's something powerful, because you can either be on two sides of a popsicle stick. They depend on you, or what you really want, you depend on them. That's when you have the right person in the seat. So remember what I just said. You got to make sure you're on the right side of the fence. Are they dependent, whether they're your workers, family, or whomever, are they dependent on you? Yeah. You want to be in a position you depend on them to bring you value. And that's how you scale. Very important. These simple, basic fundamentals, man. And I know
that was a huge one.
I'm not in technology. I'm not in I just come from the raw, real world of earning every penny, saving every penny. That's where Stack and Rack, another trademark I have. And I practiced it, man, with no investors. Every business I was in, every piece of real estate I was in, and going back to family members, it was me and my brother Eric. We were like 18 months apart. We're best friends like this, and he and I are completely registered on this. We're aligned identically, and we were lucky enough to meet another partner, Albert, that was aligned. It was like twins. Just be careful, man. Pay attention to some of these themes, and these are just food for thoughts. And one thing I would like to say, Ruben. Yeah. Weaknesses. What worked for me and what continues to work for me, Don't try to fix your weaknesses.
Okay.
It will take a lifetime. What you want to do is be aware of your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. What you want to do is fuel your strengths. So when I'm going to give you an example, remember that Bobby Castro, even today, I have to ask a couple questions just to make sure I understand. Mm-hmm. So instead of me trying to go to therapy and trying to go back to school to fix this comprehension, whatever you call it, I'm aware of it, but I'm not going to spend a lot of energy trying to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put fuel to what my strengths are, and that's how I was able to create my wealth. It's that simple.
Yeah. You don't focus on the negative. You just redirect everything to the positive.
You know, I'm about getting value every single minute, and you know, if you just wake up in the morning like I did today, being fixated on giving value, I have my list of things I'm going to do. I'm going to give maximum value to each one of those items to the point where it's too extreme for most.
Yeah.
They can't handle sometimes my intensity, because imagine being in business with me, man. I believe in results, massive results. I believe in rolling up the sleeve, getting that freaking shovel, and let's shovel. I'm not going to run around and beg people to invest with me. There's no time for that.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I love that, because there's so many people that I talk to, whether it's finding a job or anything, right? They go, I call 2 people, and I'm like, call 20. You know what I mean? Like, that's get down and grind too, right? Because you're going to get results. It's just like what are you doing to try to get those results? Are you doing the minimum, or are you doing like so much that it's just unbearable to where it's eventually going to happen anyway?
You know, I've been talking to a lot of people because I respond to every message. It's really gotten to the point where it's getting overwhelming, because my heart is really, like I said, all this remaining year, this is what I'm doing. I'm seeing so many people that have no business, which is cool. They want to one day own a business. They're stacking in the interim to save to get into business. In the interim, investing into information. But they have one job. I had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
What are you doing having one job, man? I'm talking to the people that have one job and they say they want it. What are you doing, man, after 5 or 6 o'clock? What are you doing on a Saturday and Sunday? How do you say you want success?
Yeah, I don't. It took me a while to understand that too, but I think it's because most people, they're so lost.
It's hard to accept it.
Well, it is, but sometimes it also comes down to like, and maybe you can actually help me with this, because mine, it eventually just came through like the hustle and the grind. Maybe that's what the answer is. But there was times where I was like 23, 24, and I'm like, dude, I want to start a business, or I want to do something else. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Yeah. But you know what? It's when I started flipping furniture and started buying shoes and trying to resell them. And it was fail. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like that. That eventually it just kind of happened. Is that the success
what
behind
happened
that?
for me in a very big way, and I'm recommending to anybody who would like to take this basic one tip and actually run with it. First of all, Amazon doesn't sell success. They do not deliver it. It will never show up at your front door. So don't even spend that energy looking to buy packages for $2,000, $5,000, because they tell me that I'm going to make $1 million next year. I'm going to make $100,000 next month. I am telling you, try to be very cautious not to invest your non-refundable minutes believing and thinking that. I fell victim many years ago doing those same big mistakes, very big mistakes. The one tip I'm going to give everybody, man, Bobby, how do I just get focused? How do I get that freaking drug you have in your vein? You've got to put away the distractions. You got to delete them. Delete friends. Delete, hey, I'll see you on the rebound. I'll see you in 5 years. Delete family members. Delete everything in your life that the only thing you have left is you.
Yeah.
And when you're by yourself, you start talking to yourself. You start becoming in reality of the real lazy yourself with all the excuses, the procrastination, the complaining. You start saying, problem is me, man, because it always starts with you and it ends with you. That's how I did it. That's simple. You don't have to even pay nobody to give you that information.
Yeah. And you have to start eventually. Once you come to that realization that it's you, you're like, it doesn't matter what it is.
You literally got to get the life syringe, jam it in your arm, leave it in your arm, and you just got to keep fueling it with belief, actions, results, massive urgent action. Stay away from all the friends, cool people. Man, I got to get you on the rebound, dude. I am so broke, and I'm seeing this guy that just got to the 9th grade with all this drama. He did it. And you know what? He's making sense. He's making sense. I'm kind of distracted. So I ask you, Try it for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Try it for 90 days. I promise you results.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something that's more like, because I feel that the podcast, they really focus on your life and your story, right? Like what you've done so far.
You want to know how I got there, because everyone has a story.
Well, I want to know once you're gone, right? Like, or even like 10 years from now, like future. I know you probably like you try to live in the now, right? But in the future, let's say your grandkids 10 years from now, they come up to you and they say like, "What are we known for?"
Yeah.
What do you say?
Kind, respect others, never treat anyone in a negative way, help others in true need. Having a great life is such an awesome return I get every day, because on my way up, I'm helping others. I'm helping others. I know that in my heart, man. I am making a difference. I mean, I don't even want to tell people what I do on how much I do help. I really have a big heart, man. I wish I had freaking $50 billion. I think I can make an impact, man. You've seen the Bill Gates documentary, 3 episodes. If you haven't, go on Netflix. This is a human being that's making a difference. So to answer your question, I'm on this 100-year legacy plan.
Okay. I
have a professional group helping me and my family with it. It's so intense that it involves even a doctor needing to talk to all my family and all that of this way that Bobby Castro sees 100-year legacy. What do you mean, Bobby? There's a scary stat out there for somebody like myself. Bobby and Sophie's my wife of 29 years. They earn it. They create some sort of wealth.
Yeah.
Bobby and Sophie. Then Priscilla, my daughter who's 28, my son Brandon who's 23, they spend it all.
Yeah.
My granddaughter Ocean, who's 3.5, my grandson Oakley, who's 1.5, have nothing to be able to compound any future for them. That's not going to happen on my watch. So what I'm going to do is put policies in place, and what I envision, one day when my grandchildren's children's, there's a question, and they're at brunch on Sunday saying, "Man, I see your family. You guys are so beautiful. You're giving back. I see your name on buildings. I see you just giving with good intentions. And apparently your family has been successful for many years. They all that stuff." How? There was a dude. His name was Papa Bobby. That's what my grandkids call me. He started it. Because I'll tell you, Ruben, the honest truth, man, like most of everybody, nobody thought the way I'm thinking in my DNA, in my family tree. They didn't think that long-term vision. I'm thinking 100 years out now.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm all about now, is legacy, and always being kind, respectful to people. You can see somebody a mile coming there. You know the intention's bad. That's what I'm telling a lot of people. Everyone's buying all this information, doing that. And some of the information is good that you're buying, but you got to watch that you don't consume too much information. And what is the intent? The information you're digesting.
Yeah.
How many packages are you going to buy? You keep buying a $2,000 package, a $5,000 package, a thing, and you're expecting to show up. It's not. Wipe out the distractions. Get very lonely. It's a lonely life.
Yeah.
That's a sacrifice. It's very lonely. You start talking to yourself. I'm so high alert with distractions. You start, and you're probably the best person to ask yourself the question, because you're always going to get the real answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. One last question. What's next for you?
I want to go to $1 billion net worth.
Okay.
I'm at 300. How I'm going to get there is with new upgraded information, because I got the information to get me to every stage. That's why I tell a lot of people, don't pivot to information that does not relate to your current situation. You want to max out in your current situation of the full potential. A lot of us say, "Well, I maxed out, Bobby." No, you didn't max out. Have a look back. You'll find out there's a lot more to peel from that apple.
Yeah.
So I want to go to $1 billion. On my way getting there, I want to make sure I make an impact in the world. I tend to be more focused on other parts of the world that absolutely have no resources. I was able to spend with Richard Branson some incredible quality time for about 4 or 5 days at Necker Island with about 20 other like-minded individuals. We were sitting in the round table talking about big issues that's going on in the world with zero resources like we do have in the States. And it feels so good, Ruben, being around highly, extremely successful people, but more so, man, people that really
talking about
are
things
about
that matter.
impacting others.
Yeah.
So that's my vibe, and that's where I'm going.
Yeah. Any final remark that you want to make? Anything you'd like to say?
I'm rooting for everybody, Ruben, man. I'm saying yes to so many people about, I'm talking to them on the phone. I mean, I was speaking to a 14-year-old, not on the phone, on a chat. 14 years old. I said, man, this is another Bobby. I met a 10-year-old entrepreneur, meeting people all around the world. And what's great about this, what's great and what's not great about this, behind that screen, they're so transparent. Because when they ask me for a question, Bobby, I need some help on this. What would you do in this case?
Yeah.
I always respond, Ruben. So I understand. Let me make sure this is your question, but more so, please be truthful. How much you have in your savings? What do you really do for a living? How many hours do you work in the living? I give them all the basics, and when they send it back, man, they got so much room to grow.
Yeah.
Start getting personal with yourself. Start being transparent. And I'm begging you, man, just start limiting a little distractions. You don't have to do massive change, even though I will recommend massive change. I know that kind of is a bummer. It's hard for millennials because I didn't have this technology that you guys have. It's a freaking drug.
Oh yeah.
It's a drug, dude.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm having a hard time now that 3 months. This thing's a drug. So I can't, knowing that, just try, man. Try to, wipe out here, and get true to yourself and distractions, man. And for the real estate investors, if you are listening, please don't make the mistakes I did. I lost millions and millions of dollars. I overpaid for assets. I over leveraged myself. I learned so much from big mistakes. This market is so dangerous. This market is for individuals that have high capital needs. For example, I have a big tax liability. I have to pay for that sale, that exit I talked about.
Yeah.
Well, my strategy, my value add is I buy assets to limit the tax liability I have to pay Uncle Sam. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars. But if you're buying assets like, I like to buy assets for cash flow, value proposition. Warren Buffett says 2 rules. Never ever lose money. Rule number 2, never break rule number 1.
Yeah.
And in real estate, it's always on the buy. It's never on the sale. Be very careful, guys. In the interim, stack and rack. Stack every penny. In the interim, get as much information. Bonify the information. There's a lot of free information out in the world, man. Just stop getting caught up in this whole flash and all this Lamborghinis or whatever is out there. It's just, you're not going to get no information looking at a Lamborghini.
Yeah. No, dude, you gave a lot of great information, especially that for real estate. It makes sense that you're going to make all your money on the initial buy, and you should never worry about what's coming after. It's always what's in front of you, not what's coming. So,
and if you're overpaying for real estate, you're losing money.
Yeah. So cool, man. No, I appreciate you doing this, especially like in such short notice. Like,
thank you, dude.
Thank you for everything.
People, man.
Yeah, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. So.
PMA.